Good morning, welcome to the Forex Daily Update, brought to you by Pepperstone on Tuesday the 23rd of October 2018. I'm Darren Sinden, and you can follow me throughout the day on Twitter by using @ds_Pepperstone. Right, let's kick off with a look at the overnight changes and price moves to be aware of. A pretty mixed bag, it must be said, in yesterday's session. There was a change of plan as far as the Antipodean currencies were concerned, both the New Zealand dollar and the Aussie dollar giving ground against their US rival. The Japanese yen actually strengthened somewhat against the US dollar, however, up by around 0.22% against the greenback. And the Brazilian real flying the flag for emerging market currencies, rallying by an impressive 0.76% and continuing on in a strong vein for reasons we'll look at momentarily. Wasn't all plain sailing in the emerging markets though. Both the Korean won and the South African rand gave ground against the dollar yesterday, but dollar index for its part has stayed above the next big figure, 96.05, trading shortly before we recorded the video. Be interesting to see if the dollar can hang on to those gains over the course of this week. Okay then, what's on the calendar? Events that may move the markets today. Pretty interesting calendar, dominated really by central bank speeches. We've already had two out of Australia, where Governor Bullock and Governor DeBell both spoke on behalf of the Reserve Bank of Australia earlier this morning. And at 6 a.m. GMT to come, we will have producer price index data for the month of September out of Germany. We have a 10-year gilt auction penciled in today in the UK, and if that goes ahead, it'll be very interesting to see what the take-up is like, given the political uncertainty in the UK at the moment. And at 10 a.m. in London, we'll have the CBI Industrial Trends Survey and the orders component in particular for the month of October, and that'll be followed at 10:30 by a speech from the MPC member Andy Haldane, who also happens to be the Bank of England's chief economist. At 12:55 we cross over the Atlantic once more for the Red Book Index data out of the States for the week of October 19th, and that'll be followed at 13:30 by a speech from central banker and popular commentator, an FOMC member I should add, Neil Kashkari. At 1400 we'll have the Richmond Fed Manufacturing Index for the month of October, another one of these regional Fed surveys that are very popular in the USA. And at the same time we shall have consumer confidence data out of the Eurozone, I should say, for the month of October. At 15:20 it's the turn of one of the central banking world's big guns to take to the podium, and Bank of England Governor Mark Carney will be giving us a speech then. Then at 15:30 we shall have a 4-week bill auction out of the USA, and that'll be followed at 1700 by a 2-year note auction from the US as well. At 17:30 the penultimate central banker speech for the day, and this one from FOMC member Bostic. At 20:30 we shall have the API weekly crude oil stocks data for the week of October 19th. This is of course the private measure of US crude resources. And at 22:15 to round off proceedings we'll hear from Fed Governor Evans as he gives a speech. Okay then, breaking news and comment that's caught my eye overnight. And first of all, Asia Pacific equities reversed their earlier gains and sell off as geopolitical and global growth concerns re-emerge. But Brazilian stocks and the Brazilian real continued their rally yesterday in the run-up to Sunday's presidential election runoff. You'll remember that the Conservative candidate won a convincing majority of the votes, I think around 46% in the earlier election at the beginning of October, and the runoff against the Socialist candidate will conclude on Sunday. The Conservative candidate's expected to win, and hence the optimism for change in Brazil. Meanwhile, US Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin has met with Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince, but will not attend the country's investment conference, and notably the US Treasury did not publicise the meeting between Steve Mnuchin and the Saudi Prince. China opened the world's longest sea bridge yesterday, and the 34-mile structure links Hong Kong with Macau and is, at least looking at the pictures, a very impressive looking piece of engineering indeed. Okay then, food for thought, something to take away with you into the trading day and beyond. And why not think about this? The US investment bank Goldman Sachs has highlighted the significance of the 55-week moving average for the US 500 index, noting that a break below this line has historically meant a prolonged correction for the index, although Goldman also notes that in their mind the index isn't quite as stretched as the last time it broke below this key metric. So certainly a level to watch, and of course on a weekly basis, and bearing in mind the mixed fortunes for US equities yesterday, we may be watching that sooner rather than later. Okay, please take a moment to read the risk warning. Trading CFDs and foreign exchange on margin can be a risky business. If you're uncertain about those risks or the suitability of leverage products for you, then please do contact your Pepperstone account representative. And do take a moment, please, to read this risk warning thoroughly. Thank you for your time today.